You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 73. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest, he is the founder and owner of Honor Society Publications. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure you all will be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with Sed Green. Sed, how's it going, man?
Hey, Doug B, what's going on with you?
Man, all is well, man. Everything good your way?
Oh, most definitely.
Glad to hear that, man. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me a few minutes. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. Hey, before we get into the interview, I just like to salute you for what you're doing, bro, with this podcast.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate you, man, for, like I said, man, for reaching out and giving me a few minutes of your time.
No doubt.
Yes, sir. Of course, we're here to talk about Honor Society Publications. But before we go there, let's get to know the man behind the brand. What's your story?
Okay, I'm Sed. My name is Sed Green. Everybody know me, call me Sed Green. Few call me Lucky. Few people call me Lucky. I'm a Gumptown representative for sure. Born and bred here. I grew up in the household with both of my parents. The youngest is 7. My early years started on the southwest side of the city, Ridgecrest, on Ardmore. We moved to English Village. I can't remember those streets because I was real young at that time. My memory really started when we moved to South Lawn. South Lawn is like where I went to elementary school, K through 6. Around close to the end of my 7th grade year, going to Carver Junior High School, I guess my parents didn't really like the direction that the neighborhood was headed into, and we moved out off of Troy Highway to a spot called Regency Park. And like I said, I left, started going to Brubaker Junior High, and, different people, that was going to Carver in the neighborhood, they had different things to say about the brew that turned out to be untrue. And that's one of the main reasons I don't really, believe everything I hear, Doug. I left the Brubaker and started going to a high school off of Carter Hill Road, formerly known as Jeff Davis. And like I say, I was a observant kid, a enterprising kid, and around the junior high school years, I acquired through watching the ones I had admiration for, how they accumulated money, and some of those ways weren't legal, and I did my best Humpty Dumpty rendition. I took a great fall, and, I'm back to redeem myself. So everybody loves a great redemption story. So here I am.
Yes, sir, man. That's a great story, man. Appreciate you sharing that upbringing and just how you ended it, man, talking about with that redemption, going through your go-through. Appreciate the transparency. And you grew up in a household of 7, man. So what was that experience like being in a household with all those siblings? How was that upbringing?
Like I said, I was observant, so I couldn't compete with them. They way older than me, 14 years, 8 years, you know what I'm saying? Different age brackets. So I used to have to sit back and observe and pay attention to what was going on. I ain't really, I'm the youngest one, so you ain't got much say so unless you go to them parents and they regulate the house,
Okay, so more or less you got a chance to just, like you said, be observing, just soak up game.
Right, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir, man. That's dope, man. So Let's talk about Honor Society Publications, man. What you got going on over there, products and services wise?
We pretty much we do all well. The products is novels. It's basically a publication company. We put out novels. But if a person do need service, we have all the services as far as like one of your traditional publication companies. We have all services. Editing, formatting. If you need some help with the content writing, whatever's possible. But we're mainly a publication company. We're looking for, authors that want to share their story.
Okay, that makes sense, man. So, what exactly got you intrigued, interested in this writing space, this publication space? Where'd that come from?
Well, I've always had a love for writing. Like even when I was a kid, I could, write. But as far as like, book reports in school and stuff, I wasn't really reading the old Yellows and the Helen Kellers. I would just take some significant parts and combine it and put it together, with some parts that the teacher would feel that I read the book and put some fluff on it and jazz it up real good. So that's why I first developed where I can write, but I had a few ideas about writing and I talked myself out of it because I was like, you ain't famous. Don't nobody want no book from you. You ain't famous. You ain't dead, man. So I talked myself out of it. And I came across one of my partners out of Birmingham, Damian Jenkins. We call him Lil D. And we were sale partners at St. Clair. And Lil D used to write all night. And I was inquiring about what it was that he was writing. And he told me a book. So that, left me intrigued. And he asked me, did I want to read it? And after I read his rough draft, it kind of put that battery in my back. And, I went from there as far as writing. I penned my first novel. It was called The End Justifies the Means. And, I let my people read it and they embraced it. So I've been doing it ever since. It's kind of like a passion I have. It's kind of like meditating to me. You can get away from the matrix. You can unplug a little bit. And, it's therapeutic to me.
Much respect, man. So in terms of that first book that you wrote, how long did it take you to go from cover to cover in terms of actually writing it? How long was that process?
Whole time, that first one, it flowed. It's like the pen wrote it. It wrote it itself, honestly. But I was just, I didn't really know the format of how most writers do. They'll get an outline and they'll create characters and all of this different stuff. I didn't do any of that. I just came out of my head with it. But now I got a better understanding after I done read up on it, and I got a better understanding of how to do things in the future. But at that time, I just came out of my head with it, and people liked it. They liked it, so it kind of motivated me to compose something else.
Wow, that's dope, man. Sound like you were just in that zone. Like you said, the pen wrote it for you. You just the paper in front. You just got to it.
Real talk. Real talk.
Nah, that's dope, man. So what exactly inspired the name of Honor Society Publications? Very intriguing.
Just pretty much everything that go on, man. I feel that all of this, the whole world would be a better place if we could just honor one another. Space, thoughts, everybody want to control what everybody thinks or feel and that different type of stuff. So that was kind of like what I was feeling at the time. So that pretty much inspired the name.
Wow, man, that makes so much sense, man. Like, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now that you broke it down like that, that's deep, man. Like, if everybody would just honor everybody else's wishes and not try to put everybody in the box, society would be a
Right,
much better place. Man, that's so dope, man. That's for real. Like, that's a dope concept and a dope idea, man. That's what's up.
right.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
that.
Oh, yes, sir. No doubt. So whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to cover three things: the aha moment, action, and audacity. So let's go back to that moment when you first had the idea to create Honor Society publications. What was the aha moment for you?
Um, like I said, I came up with the idea. Well, actually, I was, I wrote this novel when I was incarcerated, and I was going to be just content with sending it to somewhere like Terry Woods or somebody, and they published it. But after I did more reading on self-publishing and digging in that hole a little bit, it made more sense for me to start my own publishing company. Plus, my company, it'll give authors an outlet, to get their stories heard. So that's pretty much where the idea came from. But my aha moment was, uh, I think my aha moment was that I was working at Big Lots Distribution Center on Highway 80, and I got injured on the job, right? And it was a serious injury. I crushed my foot. A forklift crushed my foot. And how fast them folks forgot about me kind of made me, snap back to reality that it's business and the show gonna go on with or without you. So I started thinking about, my move, what I'm gonna do once I'm back up mobile and moving around again. And, hoodies, scullies, t-shirts, ball caps, b-ball shorts and stuff like that came to mind first, which, we are gonna still put some good quality merch out, but I thought about them novels that I wrote when I was down the road, and I started from there, you know.
Wow,
I just
man.
did it. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, wow.
Yeah, no, it just made sense to do it that way, I felt I spent, countless hours and time and energy into a certain lifestyle that, brought about heartache ultimately. So why not exert some energy into something that myself and others could kind of genuinely be proud of, you feel me?
Yes, sir, man. And that make a whole lot of sense, man. I mean, and to be honest with you, like that's just commendable that even when you was up that road, you knew when you got out, you wanted to do something. Cause I mean, listen, I don't get caught up in why people go up that road. That ain't my business. It's just
Right,
it's just always dope when people like yourself figure out a plan while you in there. Like, hey, when I get out, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, so I don't come back. Cause I'm pretty sure that's the goal for most people that go up that road to not go back.
right. It should be anyway, it's not.
Yes, sir. Okay, man. So from the time you had the incident on the job and you realized, hey, these people don't care about me, I got to make moves for myself. How long did it take you to start making moves? Let's talk about the action. How long was that time period from idea to actually taking action?
Well, I was down, excuse me, I was down. It took me about 3 years actually just to fully heal up and start back to walk on my own. But I say probably from that time of when I thought of it and I started reading up on stuff, it maybe was probably 18 months to maybe 2 years before I actually took action on it. But I ain't making no excuses. That's because I was immobile though.
Yes, sir. Already, man. The most important thing is you got the idea and actually put the action behind it. Like, and the purpose of that question is not necessarily how long it took. Like, it's just a matter that, hey, man, like you got it done. So 18 months from the time you had the idea, you got started. And that last portion is audacity, man. It takes audacity to step out there and not only start your own, but to put it out there for the world to judge. Who or what gave you that courage, that audacity to step out there?
I ain't trying to be arrogant in them, but it was me. Like I say, I wasted a lot of time, dealing with what I dealing with some previous choices I made, So I just felt like, I can't go down the same road. Ain't no need in me repeating that because even during that time, I learned that's insanity. You keep doing the same thing, looking for different results, expecting different results. That's insane, right? So I just had to come up with something. I don't really like. I don't knock people who work a job, but I don't really like the ways how the split up go. I don't like
Right,
right. I don't like the money how it split up. But
right.
I just figure I try it, man. I ain't gonna. How you'll know if you gonna succeed if you don't try it.
Hey, that's a fact, and it's not arrogant at all, man. That you gave yourself that audacity, man. I mean, to be honest with you, like that's the I think that's where it has to start. You got to believe it first before anybody else can. We
Right.
can
True. True.
pray and all that. I mean, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Praying, meditating, that's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, giving
Yeah.
yourself
But
that audacity.
you gotta put footwork behind it, though.
Yeah, I
The
mean, straight
prayer.
up, you got to put that work in. Like you said, how would you know if you don't try? And a lot of times we talk ourselves out of stuff, like you were saying, you
I
almost did,
did.
man.
I
And
did at that time because this was before I even met Lil D. And I'm looking at Lil D. I don't want to put his business out there, but at this time, Lil D had he was in the car with some guys and they did a drive-by shooting. And he got charged with it. He was in the car, but he wasn't a part of what they were doing. He wasn't aware. But Lil D ended up getting a life without parole sentence behind that. And this guy got a life without parole sentence, and he in here writing novels, but he got his sentence overturned. His family was, working on the outside and got his sentence overturned, and they ended up letting him out. But that kind of inspired me to go ahead. I'm like, you telling yourself you ain't famous. He ain't no more famous than you. You know what I'm saying? But he doing what he feeling his hard to do. Why you procrastinate?
right, right, man. And now that's much respect, man. Just drawing inspiration from that, and I'm definitely happy that that brother was able to get his situation overturned and
Yeah, he
get
did.
out of that situation.
True, true.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. So, man, Honor Society Publications, man, I know great things are coming down the pipeline for you. So, let me ask you about some vision. What are your short term and long term goals for the business?
Okay. My short term goals is first be taken, seriously. That's the first goal, short term goal. Another one is the main reason I'm doing this interview is to promote and market the Honor Society's first novel. It's the first installment of the Chronicles of a Hustler series. It's titled Greed Masquerades as Ambition. It's a great novel about brotherhood, camaraderie, having goals and attaining them, love, betrayal, um, set location in the capital city, Gump Town, and the book release March 17th of next year. So, we out here politicking and, showing our faith. Plus, we're in the process of finalizing our YouTube channel called Our Own Thing. And I gotta salute you again, good brother. You inspired this move. Because me and one of my partners, one of my best friends, we been speaking about podcasting. We both sports heads, and we were gonna do our, Stephen A. and Max Kellerman thing, but we were gonna do it our way. It never did develop. So when you and we were setting up this interview, another one of my friends, he hit me up talking about doing a podcast on cannabis, which, that's a whole nother story. And the decision was made to, dedicate our own thing podcast to urban fiction authors. It's a place to highlight the author, their craft, promote their previous project, their current projects, up and coming projects, introduce them to an audience they may not have normally been in front of. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Nah, man, those are great short-term, long-term goals. I have no doubt that you'll make them all come to fruition. And in terms of the podcast, y'all go for it, man. And shoot, matter of fact, offline, I'll let you know what equipment I use and go get it, man, and get to it, man. Shoot. Hey, the thing about it, oh yeah, no doubt, man. The thing about it is I had to realize this too, man. Like there's really no such thing as oversaturation. Like you got a million podcasts out there, but there won't be a podcast just like yours. You'll bring a different flavor. So,
right. Actually, I looked online. I looked on YouTube and I looked online looking for that particular podcast, and there's no lane for that particular podcast. It's just to highlight the authors and bring them some notoriety, basically.
Bingo! And guess what? You about to create that lane. That's dope.
Right.
Much respect, man. Those some great goals. I know you're gonna make them happen, man. Because you about that action, man. Much respect.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yes, sir. So as we wrap up the podcast, man, I want to ask the $1 million question. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness of the Gump. Whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it military or college, you being a hometown hero, Sed, what makes you the most proud to be from the Gump?
Proudest of the Gump. Being from the Gump, the Gump got a rich history, though. It's a lot of rich history comes from the Gump, but a lot of people don't, they think it's slow and whatnot, but hey, whatever. I think it's the resiliency, though, being the bloodline or something in this city, man. It's unmatched, Remember, we from I'm from the Cradle Confederacy. This is the Cradle Confederacy, and a lot of barriers and pitfalls, was purposely set up to hinder, your my great granddaddy, Mm-hmm. So, our parents, great grandparents, they played the game. They may have bent a little bit, but they ain't break. So, they're running our bloodline, people that's from this city who got family members that came before us. So, we got that in our bloodline. So we ain't gonna give up for nothing.
That's a fact, man. Much respect, man. Everything you said was spot on. So how can the people connect with you, Sed? What are your social media handles?
You can at me at Sed_Green1. That's at SED_GREEN1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. www.honorsocietypublication.com is the official website where all our content will be available, and at our own thing on YouTube.
Okay, and of course I'll put all of that information in the description of the episode. Hey, Sed, thanks again for the conversation, man. I really appreciate you.
Likewise, brother. I appreciate you too, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.